Welcome to Chasing Curiosity TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The South China Sea, a region already fraught with tension, has been thrust into the global spotlight once again. China's release of a new official map has redrawn maritime borders, dramatically expanding its claims over vast stretches of sea that are also claimed by several neighboring countries. This map, which boldly asserts Chinese sovereignty over areas rich in resources and strategic value, has sent shockwaves through the region and beyond. The move is not just a cartographic change, it's a direct challenge to the status quo, raising the stakes for all countries with interests in these contested waters. By unilaterally redrawing boundaries, China is openly challenging international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which many countries rely on to resolve maritime disputes. This bold assertion threatens to destabilize the delicate balance that has kept the peace in the region for decades. The international community now faces a critical test: how to respond to a move that could set a dangerous precedent for territorial claims worldwide. The Philippines, one of the countries most directly affected by China's new map, has responded with alarm and outrage. Officials in Manila have described the move as nothing less than a creeping invasion, a slow but deliberate encroachment on their sovereign territory. The government has called on the international community to stand with them, warning that what happens in the South China Sea could have far-reaching consequences for the entire world. These tensions are not just diplomatic, they are playing out in real time on the water. Confrontations between Chinese Coast Guard ships and Philippine fishing boats have become increasingly frequent and aggressive. Chinese vessels have been seen blocking access to traditional fishing grounds, sometimes coming dangerously close to causing collisions. For the fishermen who rely on these waters for their livelihoods, every trip to sea is now fraught with uncertainty and risk. The situation has escalated to dangerous levels. Video evidence has emerged showing Chinese Coast Guard ships using high-pressure water cannons against small, unarmed fishing boats. These attacks not only damage property, but also put lives at risk, leaving fishermen injured and traumatized. The use of force in these encounters has drawn widespread condemnation and raised fears of a potential military clash. In response, the Philippines has stepped up its own patrols, deploying Coast Guard vessels to protect its fishermen and assert its claims. The result is a tense and dangerous standoff, with both sides refusing to back down. The risk of miscalculation or accidental escalation is higher than ever, and the world is watching closely to see what happens next. The stakes in the South China Sea go far beyond national pride or local disputes. This region is one of the world's most important maritime highways, with trillions of dollars worth of goods passing through its waters every year. From oil and gas to electronics and food, the flow of trade through these sea lanes is vital to the global economy. Any disruption here could have ripple effects felt in markets and households around the world. The United States, a treaty ally of the Philippines and a key player in the region, has been quick to condemn China's actions. American warships have increased their presence in the area, conducting freedom of navigation operations to challenge what they see as unlawful maritime claims. Joint military exercises with the Philippines send a clear message: the U.S. is prepared to stand by its allies and uphold international law. For China, the new map is more than just a claim, it's a statement of intent. It signals Beijing's ambition to dominate the region and reshape the rules to suit its interests. At the same time, it's a test of the resolve of the United States and its allies. Will they accept China's growing power, or will they push back to defend the existing international order? The standoff at Panatag Shoal has become a flashpoint, a critical test for global order and the future of the Indo-Pacific. As tensions continue to rise, the world holds its breath, hoping that diplomacy can prevail over confrontation, and that the South China Sea does not become the spark that ignites a much larger conflict. Panatag Shoal, also known internationally as Scarborough Shoal, is a seemingly unremarkable ring of rocks and coral in the vast expanse of the South China Sea. Yet beneath its tranquil surface, this small reef holds immense strategic and economic importance, making it one of the most hotly contested maritime features in the region. Its location, just over 120 nautical miles from the Philippine coast, places it well within the country's exclusive economic zone, but its significance extends far beyond simple geography. For generations, Panatag Shoal has provided a safe haven for Filipino fishing boats, offering shelter from storms and a rich bounty of fish that is crucial for the livelihoods of thousands of coastal families. The waters teem with marine life, supporting not just local economies but also the food security of entire communities. The shoal is a lifeline, a place where tradition and survival are deeply intertwined and where every catch represents hope for the future. But the value of Panatag Shoal goes beyond fishing. Beneath its seabed may lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that could transform the fortunes of any nation able to tap them. These untapped riches have drawn the attention of powerful neighbors, turning the shoal into a focal point for energy security and economic ambition. The promise of these resources adds another layer of complexity to an already tense dispute. Control over Panatag Shoal and its surrounding waters is a massive prize for both the Philippines and China. Not only does it offer access to abundant fish stocks and potential energy reserves, but it also commands a strategic position along vital shipping lanes. Whoever holds sway over the shoal can project power across the region, influencing trade, security, and the balance of power in Southeast Asia. The Philippines asserts its claim to the shoal based on its proximity and the principles of international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. China, on the other hand, bases its claim on centuries-old historical records and maps, arguing that the shoal has long been part of its maritime territory. These competing narratives have fueled a bitter and ongoing dispute, with each side determined to defend its interests. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines, invalidating China's sweeping claims over much of the South China Sea, including Panatag Shoal. The decision was hailed as a landmark victory for international law and the rights of smaller nations. However, Beijing swiftly rejected the ruling, refusing to recognize the court's authority and continuing its activities in the disputed waters. The legal triumph, while significant on paper, did little to change the reality on the ground. Today, China maintains a constant and formidable presence at Panatag Shoal, deploying Coast Guard ships and maritime militia to assert its control. Filipino fishermen, once free to fish these waters, now face intimidation and uncertainty, forced to watch as their traditional fishing grounds slip beyond their reach. For the Philippines, the legal victory has become a bitter defeat, a stark reminder that in the South China Sea, might often prevails over right. China's new baselines around Panatag Shoal mark a significant escalation. By declaring the lagoon as internal waters, China claims absolute sovereignty, erasing shared fishing grounds. This move is part of a broader pattern of behavior across the South China Sea. The baselines are a sophisticated tactic, using international law language to legitimize illegal claims. This sets a dangerous precedent, potentially allowing China to enclose vast areas as its own internal waters. Other countries in the region watch with concern, fearing their claims could be next. China's recent actions in the South China Sea are not isolated incidents, but rather, they are part of a carefully orchestrated grand strategy aimed at achieving regional dominance. Over the past decade, China has steadily increased its military presence, conducted large-scale naval exercises, and built up its maritime capabilities. This is not just about flexing military muscle, it's about reshaping the balance of power in Asia and ensuring that China is recognized as the preeminent force in the region. By pushing boundaries, China is sending a clear message to its neighbors and to the world. It intends to set the rules in its own backyard. The South China Sea is far more than a patch of water. It's an economic lifeline not just for China, but for the entire region. Over 60% of China's trade, including vital imports of oil, raw materials, and exports of manufactured goods, passes through these waters. Any disruption here could have a ripple effect on the global economy. For China, securing these shipping lanes is a matter of national security and economic survival. Control over the South China Sea means safeguarding the arteries that keep its economy alive and thriving. Control over key features like Panatag Shoal, also known as Scarborough Shoal, is crucial for China. By establishing a presence on these reefs and shoals, China can project power over some of the world's most critical sea lanes. This allows Beijing to monitor and, if necessary, restrict the movement of foreign vessels, giving it a strategic advantage over rival claimants and outside powers. The ability to control these choke points is a powerful tool in both peacetime and crisis. But it's not just about military and trade. The South China Sea is believed to be rich in untapped natural resources, including vast reserves of oil and natural gas beneath the seabed. For a country with a growing population and an insatiable appetite for energy, these resources are incredibly valuable. The pursuit of these natural riches is a powerful driver behind China's assertiveness, as securing energy independence is a top priority for Beijing's long-term development. Militarily, features like Panatag Shoal could serve as key outposts, extending China's reach far beyond its mainland shores. By building military installations, airstrips, and radar stations on artificial islands, China is creating a network of fortified positions that can support its naval and air operations. These outposts act as unsinkable aircraft carriers, allowing China to project power, monitor activity, and respond rapidly to any perceived threats in the region. National pride and historical narrative also play a significant role in China's actions. The Chinese government has long promoted the idea that these territories are an integral part of its historical heritage, often referencing ancient maps and records. For many Chinese citizens, reclaiming these lands is seen as righting a historical wrong and restoring China's rightful place in the world. This powerful mix of nationalism and historical memory fuels public support for the government's assertive policies, making compromise difficult and reinforcing China's determination to push the boundaries. China's strategy in the South China Sea combines coercion and persuasion. The Iron Fist is its coast guard and maritime militia, intimidating other nations. The Velvet Glove is economic incentives and environmental claims, creating a facade of legitimacy. This dual-track strategy overwhelms smaller nations and divides opposition. Economic statecraft and environmental claims are used to silence criticism and justify territorial claims. 2025 has seen dangerous escalations around Panatag Shoal. China's aggressive enforcement includes water cannons and risky maneuvers. Incidents like the ramming of a Filipino fishing boat highlight the growing risk. China's declaration of a marine ecological protection zone is seen as a strategic ploy. Filipino fishermen face constant fear, with economic impacts on coastal communities. The Philippine government struggles to defend its territory against a more powerful China. China's actions at Panatag Shoal have drawn international condemnation. The U.S. has issued strong statements and increased naval operations in the area. Other major powers reaffirm the importance of international law and peaceful dispute resolution. ASEAN's response is divided, with some nations more vocal than others. China's economic leverage prevents a united regional front, allowing it to pressure individual countries. The Panatag Shoal dispute has high stakes for global security and international law. Freedom of navigation is at risk, with the South China Sea being a crucial shipping lane. The Philippines' alliance with the U.S. is tested with potential treaty implications. The risk of accidental escalation is high, with many vessels operating in close proximity. China's actions challenge the post-WW2 international order, threatening to rewrite the rules. The situation at Panatag Shoal tests the international community's resolve. China's strategy is to create a new reality on the water, betting on eventual acceptance. Diplomatic protests and economic sanctions have limited effectiveness. A military response risks catastrophic war. The current strategy is to hold the line and raise the costs of China's aggression. The world faces a choice: uphold the rule of law or accept a new era of might makes right.